Halloween just ghosts, goblins, haunted houses, witches, things that go bump in the night? Oh no, there's much more.
What is Halloween? Halloween is a variety of things. It's time for fun, it's time for candy, it's time for walking around in the fall weather and pumpkins. It's time for a lot of things. Or is it a time for trick or treats? And part of Halloween is going around and trying to get some treats. Or possibly you might get a trick if I don't get the treats. Thank you. He did not want to be tricked.
And Halloween is more than just tricks, treats, and candy. Halloween has a history. And in that history, there's pilgrims, Puritans, there's even the Catholic religion, there's Celtics, there's Irish people. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of Halloween and where we came from there to get to here.
Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. The Celts, who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. The day marked the end of summer and the harvest of the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with human death. Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. On May 13th, 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV dedicated the Pantheon in Rome in honor of all Christian martyrs, and the Catholic feast of All Martyrs' Day was established in the Western Church. Pope Gregory III later expanded the festival to include all saints as well as all martyrs, and moved the observance from May 13th to November 1st. By the 9th century, the influence of Christianity had spread into Celtic lands, where it gradually blended and supplanted older Celtic rites. In 1000 AD, the Church made November 2nd All Souls' Day, a day to honor the dead. It's widely believed today that the Church was attempting to replace the Celtic Festival of the Dead with a related Church-sanctioned holiday. All Souls' Day was celebrated a lot like Samhain, with big bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes as saints, angels, and devils. The All Saints' Day celebration was so-called All Hallows, and the night before it, the traditional night of Samhain in the Celtic religion, began to be called All Hallows' Eve, and eventually Halloween. The celebration of Halloween was extremely limited in colonial New England because of the rigid Protestant belief systems there. Halloween was much more common in Maryland and in the southern colonies. As the beliefs and customs of different European ethnic groups and the American Indians meshed, a distinctly American version of Halloween began to emerge. The first celebrations included play parties, which were public events held to celebrate the harvest. Neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other's fortunes, and they would dance and sing. The Irish are thought to have brought the Halloween celebrations to America as they migrated to the United States during the potato famine around 1840. In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than about ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft. At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes. By the 1920s and 1930s, Halloween had become a secular but community-centered holiday with parades, town-wide Halloween parties as the featured entertainment. Despite the best efforts of many schools and communities, vandalism began to plague some celebrations in many communities during this time. By the 1950s, town leaders had successfully limited the vandalism, and Halloween had evolved into a holiday directed mainly at the young. Due to the high numbers of young children during the 50s baby boom, parties moved from civic centers to the classroom or home, where they could be more easily accommodated. Between the 20s and 1950, the centuries-old practice of trick-or-treating was also revived. Trick-or-treating was a relatively inexpensive way for an entire community to share the Halloween celebration. In theory, families could also prevent tricks being played on them by providing the neighborhood children with small treats. So when you heard the knock on the door, you should answer and you should give out treats. Thus, a new American tradition was born, and it has continued to grow. Today, Americans spend an estimated, and get a hold of this, $6 billion annually on Halloween, making it the country's second largest commercial holiday after Christmas. Happy Halloween, everyone. And don't forget, answer that door, or you might have a trick played on you. Much cheaper to hand over a little chocolate or a piece of candy.